Hello everyone, Parse7 here, back in with more Bloons TD Battles 2. Now I really had to really sift through a lot of my old footage that I just had lying around in order to make this video, but after looking around at some of the videos, I wanted to talk about a bit of an annoying strategy that I've seen a lot in lower arenas, mainly, Yellow Stadium and White Wasteland. Was the strategy? Well, basically, it's just send the strongest balloon type at your opponent that you can, and just hope that they die before you do. My opponent, Valiant Badger, was basically using this strat the whole entire game. He didn't even send any eco on round 1, which is actually kind of surprising. You know, it's probably like an okay strategy. I mean, it probably would catch, a lot of newer players off guard who maybe just aren't maybe just don't have enough upgrades to defend, but like it really won't really work in high arenas, as of course your opponent could easily just spam more upgrades like I'm doing here. So I just end up being like 2 spikeables, end up pulling off space blues. Now it's a very annoying strat for me personally as a farm user, because well, as going DFA you want to farm as hard as possible. If your opponent is spamming the strongest balloon type you can at your opponent, then you have to delay your farm by quite a lot, and that's like really annoying as a farm user. And especially since I'm trying to grab farm XP. So on like round 3, he's like sending yellows already, which of course, Spikeable just really does struggle to handle. This is probably a great strat if you really want to get first blood. Although I really don't think first blood really gives too much. I even had to place down Oben on round 4 just to make sure that I just didn't die to this. And I just ended up boosting just in case. So I mean, yeah, really it's good at leaking up lives, but it's really not a strategy I'd recommend for, I guess, winning. As again, like I said, any experienced players could easily just boost to defend. So, not boost to defend, it's just like get more defense. And especially since like this kills your own eco too, so while yes, your opponent's leaking a lot of lives, you yourself are killing yourself because you don't have enough eco to maybe defend late game, or just mid game in general. And so he's like getting like the bare minimum defense, it's just getting like a laser shock and that's it. So I'm getting 2 triple darts, which I should have crossed path to 230 because, well, seeing this match, I really didn't think this was going to actually reach camos. So I mean, it's like a very interesting strategy that I guess might work on newer or in lower arenas, but in high arenas, this really won't work out too well. I mean, hey, whatever works, I guess. And just like seeing that this guy is like just gets like a counter espionage, and it's only like what, round 6, and he doesn't have to worry about camos till round 12. So it's very curious that he immediately goes for counter espionage. He also sends blacks, which is also very curious, seeing that I'm easily able to defend whites, so blacks wouldn't really do too much. Now I end up selling Oben and placing him in the back, because of course you want Oben in the back for mainly just because of his trees, to make sure they get eaten up by the strong balloons that make it that far. You really don't want Oben's trees to, I guess, just be full from just I guess ceramics or something like that. So this guy had like very weak lead detection, which is Gwen. So like really, I was just thinking to myself, okay, well, what do I do to beat my opponent here? Since I know that his eco is probably awful, seeing as he stopped sending some, as again I can easily handle purples and blacks, and so really, I know that he's not going to have the money to like afford a massive rush, so of course, what do you do when your opponent has a flash bomb and a really weak defense like this? Well, simple, you just send regrows. Flash bomb really sucks against regrows if you didn't know, so I guess if your opponent does have flash bomb down the field, just send some regrows their way, they really won't be able to defend those. This is also a very slightly annoying strategy, as I can't even get my ace down. Ace is really more of a mid-game tower than a really early game tower. Bomber ace is, I guess, just okay, but it's really only useful for knocking down strong balloons in the beginning, and of course it's very map dependent. On this map, I guess maybe figure infinite or figure 8 might be the best. So anyways, I didn't even send like a large camel rush or regen rush. He sells his ninja for whatever reason and just gets flash bomb, which is again a very curious decision. He had no group popping power, and he really didn't know what his plan was, since he didn't get HRP by round 12. Anyways, as you can see, this match was a bit of a mirror match, pretty much down to not even like the last tower, just like mainly just the 2 towers and the strat we were going for. So of course, Dartling equals bad, he actually gets a 302 Juggernaut, which again is very curious, or not Juggernaut, Spike-Up-Holt, which I'm assuming will go into a 402 Juggernaut. Again, this is a very curious decision. I'm not sure if, you know, the extra range is worth it over the attack speed at this point. Usually, as you probably can tell, I sell my Spike-Up-Holt in for a 402. Now it gets an ice down at the bottom for whatever curious reason. I'm assuming that was probably a mistake, and so of course I was actually going ice here, so I decided to place it down, and he places it down in the same spot almost at the same time I did. Now why am I going ice here? Well, this was in the very earlies of my Dart Farm Ace grinding. I had like nothing for Dart and Ace. I think the only thing I'd unlocked was Juggernaut. That was like my only 4th tier. I don't think I had Crossbow yet. So, and of course, I didn't really feel like Banana Farm would really help me out here. And, you know, I can easily get Banana Farm XP, so I brought Ice along just to help out, you know, just early game and mid game. Since, you know, Dart, without like the very early upgrades, you know, Dart doesn't really help out too much. You know, just like trying to survive with just like tier 2 darts is you know, a bit painful. You really have to spam just like sharp shots all over the map. Now it is kind of fun, you know, seeing your opponent, you know, basically do the same, like a similar strat to what you did. And so it is kind of fun, as you can, you know, watch your opponent and see, you know, what he does. He sends whites my way, which is a bit painful, as of course, you know, ice can't really affect whites, and my white defense is kind of, it's holding off okay, but it could be better. And so since it was holding off fairly okay, I decided it would just be better just to sell for a Juggernaut. Now I end up sending his whites some way to pressure him a bit, and he ends up getting a crossbow down there. Now I think that is a top path crosspath top bow, a 203, seeing as I don't see the headband above the, you know, crossbow's original one, which actually isn't a bad idea. You know, I haven't really thought about using crossbow too much, as bottom path dart is kind of I'm not sure how good crossbow master is in this game, but by the time you afford crossbow master, you probably want to like spend that money on like Plasma Monkey Fan Club. Honestly, just thinking about it, the only good like 5th tiers for Dart Monkey is really just Plasma Monkey Fan Club. I'm not really sure when Ultra Jug would have a use, as of course Ultra Jug isn't really a tower for Moab damage. Of course you can use it for Moab damage, but there are lots of better Dart upgrades for Moab damage, of course being Crossbow Master. But again, Crossbow Master after 1.6 I'm assuming is going to cost 21k, because that's what they said in their patch notes. And so, you know, by that time you're able to afford it, it'd probably be around the time Fortified ZOMGs come out, meaning, you know, that's like very close to when DDTs come out. And of course, I don't really think Crossbow Master is good against DDTs, at least in base BTD6. Not really sure if that's the same for battles too, but I'm assuming it probably is the same. Anyways, this guy last tower is Super Monkey, and he has Ocean Open as well. So as soon as I saw that, I was just like, dang, you know, this match can't really go late, as he has a much better late game than I do. I really don't have any late game towers actually, because again, I don't have Ground Zero unlocked. I can't actually even beat DTs until I have Ground Zero, which is a bit sad. I guess as soon as this video like is released, I still won't have Ground Zero. I haven't played Battles 2 in a while now. So yeah, anyways, I was like just basically thinking, okay, what can I do to kill my opponent fast enough to prevent this from going late game? As of course, you know, Dark Knight spam is incredibly good. You really only need just that, and you're really much set for late game. But anyways, it is nice to see, you know, another Dart player, just because I can actually look at their strat and see what they do. And so I try sending a Regrow Zimbas, seeing as he doesn't really have much Regrow defense, except for, well, Juggy Boy over there. And so it does seem like, you know, Regrows have done surprisingly well, and I've gotten past his Dart Monkey there. I would have loved to let this match go longer, but since he had Super Monkey and Ocean Open, I decided, you know, it's probably not a good idea. Although, nice username, if I must say. This match here was, of course, made on my alt account, as you can see, Person88, where I'm doing a Dart Sub Village. I haven't played Dart Sub Village in a really long time, as of course I've been just grinding out DFA. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, as you can see on my alt account, I only really made it to White Wasteland. I guess there's that, but I mean, I guess White Wasteland with this strategy, I guess, is fairly good. seeing as, a super boomer village of course is a meta strat, and this is slightly based off this. Why'd I go submarine? Well, I didn't really want to go super boomer village. I wanted to try out just something else, and so I really couldn't think of another tower to, I guess, just add to this. So I thought, hey, why not sub? Sub, it can help out a bit in the early game, and sub does have, I guess, some decent late game options. I guess the only decent one would probably be preemptive strike, just because first strike. Now my opponent starts off with Gwendolyn, which is very curious, into a grape shot boat, and doesn't actually start sending eco till very, very late. So if it works for him, I guess. He doesn't send any eco till I think it's round 3. As you can see, it's very slow, and he has to boost in order to defend these group reds. So it's very curious that he's choosing to remove all the obstacles before sending any eco. So that really does put him at a massive disadvantage. Now I guess he tries to get some lives on me by sending yellows, which is sort of effective. It's not really enough to make me panic. I do just get a sub in the back and then just go for twin guns. So I said about sub helping out in the early game, as of course with sub. Does notice that boomer does struggle a bit against grouped whites on round 5. So sub does help out there with, of course, air burst and barbed darts. And it actually is pretty funny to think that in battles 2 that you'd want the middle cross path instead of top path cross path like you want in Bloons TD 6. Yes, it is nice to show that, of course, just a different setting, cross paths do have some use to them. Now, I mainly wanted to show this match as my opponent makes a very curious decision. I'm just going to spoil it right now, is he goes Merchantmen. It is the first and only time I have seen Merchantmen in Battles 2. If you don't know, Merchantmen in Battles 2 is just actually terrible. It really doesn't compete with just any other farm strategy. That's a bit sad, if I must say. I thought, Trade Empire and Merchantmen spam, would be pretty good, but unfortunately just in Battles 2, Merchantmen is just terrible. It takes way too long to pay itself off, and of course it's round based, so unlike, eco or sniper farms or anything like that, you can only get a set amount of money per round because it's round based, which is the same problem farms have. Now Merchantmen will be buffed in 1.06. Looking at the patch notes and the stats, it seems like Merchantmen will be able to pay themselves off in, I think it's 6 rounds, if I remember correctly, which I guess isn't too bad. But I still don't feel like Merchantmen will be meta or really used too often, as of course another problem with Merchantmen is, well, space. You really are going to have to sacrifice a lot of water space in order to actually get an efficient Merchantmen farm up, which again might be bad considering that you want space for other boats 5th tiers and paths as well. So you either have to sacrifice space for money and sacrifice it for damage, which of course choosing between the two can be a bit annoying at times, especially myself as a farm user. But it's awful for him because he has very, very limited space when it comes to Merchantmen farming. So realistically, the only map where you can actually efficiently get up a Merchantmen farm is, well, docks, and that's really just about it. Because all the water space on any other map, you really don't have a lot of space in order to take advantage of Merchantmen. Of course, on maps like Glade, you might do. But at most, you can maybe fit, I don't know, 6 or 7 Merchantmen in one space. And of course, that's not really enough Merchantmen to take full advantage of, the Trade Empire stacking buff. Anyways, I send my opponent some zebras, I guess just prevent him from greeting, and quote, he doesn't really have any good zebra popping power. And of course, I was down to 8 lives, so it probably would have just been best to end that up there. Anyways, NK, please buff Merchantmen, bottom path boat, a lot, even more so in the next episode. If you enjoyed, like, subscribe, comment, join Discord, link is down in the description.